Hey there, quirky people! Today we're going to talk about the crazy timey-wimey ending of Loki that just blew our minds. We were left on a massive cliffhanger and Loki was left alone yet again.
You are alone. And you always will be.
People had their doubts upon Loki. The general consensus was that he might betray Sylvie. But he had grown as a person, and the absolute opposite happened. He ultimately got his kiss, but Sylvie pushed him back into the TVA using her temp pad. And after recuperating from what had happened, he went to find Mobius. But even that came as a gut punch because Mobius did not even recognize him. Even though he had fought for Loki, he still forgot his friend.
Thank you, my friend. You're my favorite.
He just thought that Loki was an analyst like him, and he asked his name. So Loki was truly alone once again. A moment of silence for Loki, who is heartbroken yet again. Okay, that's enough. Ending up alone used to be his greatest fear in life, but after meeting He Who Remains, his new greatest fear actually became Kang. And even that fear was realized in the very next moment as he saw how Kang had already taken over the TVA. Now we have two big questions from this epic finale. The first is about what really happened here. How did Kang conquer the Time Variance Authority, and where did Ravonna Renslayer go? We think that both the answer to these questions is linked. But before we answer them, it would be amazing if you guys would hit the subscribe button. And do press the bell icon so you don't miss out on our future videos. Okay, now let's look at what happened in Loki's finale. First, let's answer the Kang question. Jonathan Majors did a remarkable job portraying He Who Remains. In the comics, He Who Remains is a different character at the end of time, and he is the one who created the real timekeepers. But Marvel has brought a great twist to that story. They turned the ultimate version of Kang, that is Immortus, into He Who Remains. You can clearly see that Majors is wearing the comic-accurate costume of Immortus. So He Who Remains has been revealed to be a variant of Nathaniel Richards, aka Kang. This variant lured Loki and Sylvie to the end of time. He paved the way for them to follow. He manipulated them into fighting each other. There were two options in front of them, and He Who Remains was going to win in both of them. If Loki and Sylvie had agreed to rule the TVA, then they would have maintained what He Who Remains had built. And if they decided to kill him, which Sylvie ultimately does, then the multiverse would bring an infinite number of Kangs. Initially, He Who Remains was keeping all the infinite Kangs at bay by giving them the same narratives in the sacred timeline. He was the necessary evil preventing a multiversal chaos that his own variants would cause with their drive to conquer. But even if he was going to die, he made sure that he ends up winning anyway. You see, he was way too old, tired, and probably quite lonely as well.
Tired. And I'm older. Older than ever.
He had already ruled and conquered the entire multiverse for millennia. He kept all the universes tied to a sacred timeline. And now he was tired. His motivation to keep doing this had gone. He needed someone younger and motivated to take over, and he knew that one of his younger variants would achieve that. So a part of him wanted Sylvie to end his crusade. In fact, he made sure that Sylvie would kill him because he already had another contingency plan even before he began talking to the two Lokis.
See you soon.
Right from the beginning of the show, we thought that Judge Renslayer probably knew everything about He Who Remains. Even when she saw the fake timekeepers die, it seemed as if she might be lying about not knowing the man in charge.
I don't know.
But the finale confirms that she only knew things on a need-to-know basis. The fake timekeepers probably just told her that the TVA agents were all variants and their work was necessary to maintain peace in the multiverse. But in the end, He Who Remains asked Miss Minutes to give her a file.
This isn't what I asked for.
I know, but he thinks this'll be more useful.
Who?
Happy reading!
She clearly didn't know, and the new file she got probably had all the information about what He Who Remains did. This file also told her what would happen when he would die. So Renslayer was his contingency. After reading that file, she understood that the TVA was a necessary lie. So she just got up and left to we know not where. But maybe we do. You see, soon after Ravonna left, the threshold moment had passed at the citadel of He Who Remains. We heard a thunderous clap, and new branches began to be created.
We just crossed the threshold.
One of these new branches could very well be Renslayer, and I believe that she was sent to meet a past variant of He Who Remains. She was sent to meet a younger Kang who had the will to conquer. So while Sylvie and Loki fought after the threshold, Renslayer was helping a new Kang take over the TVA. It is possible that someone led the new Kang to the TVA, and that someone could be Renslayer. She and Kang are romantically linked in the comics, and in the MCU, their love story could have begun after she stepped out of the TVA. She would have told a Kang variant, or perhaps the past version of He Who Remains, about what his future variant did, and she brought him to the TVA to reset everything. As a result, Kang conquered the TVA. The memories of all the TVA agents were wiped once again, just as they were in the past. He reset everyone's memories to the point where Mobius and the other Minutemen didn't even remember Loki. They thought that Loki was just another TVA analyst. This is how Kang removed the threat of Loki and Sylvie. He made Loki powerless once again. When Loki was sent back to the TVA, he found out that the past variant of He Who Remains had already taken over. This is what the last words of He Who Remains meant. When Sylvie plunged her sword into her heart, he died laughing. He said that he'll see her soon, even winked at her. He already knew that he had won because of the contingency he had executed with Ravonna Renslayer. But as we saw in the end, things are a little different in this version of the TVA. Kang wasn't hiding this time. He had taken over, and we can clearly see his comic-accurate suit on his statue. Instead of the timekeepers, he himself became the face of the TVA, and that's probably because of Ravonna Renslayer.
If you're thinking what I think you're thinking, it's a bad idea.
She told him what happened with the ways of He Who Remains. People eventually found out about the lie of the timekeepers and the TVA. So Kang took a different approach than his older variant. He wasn't sticking to a sacred timeline. He wasn't even stopping the new branches from growing.
Better hurry! Timeline's already branching.
As Mobius and Hunter B-15 were talking, they saw 63 new branches growing from one unit. And Hunter B asked,
Does he want us to just let them all branch?
She specifically said he. This means the TVA agents know that Kang is in charge. And now, we're probably going to see this version of Kang in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Then he could return in Loki Season 2. And finally after that, he might be at the center of the next Avengers event, that is Secret Wars. Secret Wars is a multiversal event that happens twice in the comics. One of them had the Beyonder as its villain. The second one had Doctor Doom. But in the MCU, it is all Kang. He Who Remains revealed that initially, his variants were peaceful, and they helped each other's universes prosper. But then some evil ones emerged, and they sought to conquer other universes. This created a cycle of wars between universes, which was led by several Kang variants. This was the first Secret Wars event that happened in the MCU eons ago. But then He Who Remains weaponized Aliath, and intertwined the universes into one timeline narrative. But now that the timelines have begun to branch endlessly, we will be approaching another multiversal war. At the center of it would be one or several Kang variants, and projects like Doctor Strange 2, Ant-Man 3, Loki Season 2, and probably even Fantastic Four would lead us into it. Kang is obviously the next big bad after Thanos, and he is proving to be a much bigger villain because we'll see multiple variants of him cause multiversal chaos. But along with him, I'm really hoping to see multiple variants of the Avengers show up as well. So let's wait and see how Marvel will tap into the Secret Wars narrative with multiversal chaos. I'm really thrilled to see that all this has begun with Loki. Okay now, let's bring things to an end. Do let us know your thoughts upon all this. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. And don't forget to check out some more fun videos on our channel. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!